Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. And today we'll be discussing the theory related to the chapter Animal Kingdom. Okay, so in this lecture, we'll be discussing the theory from the point of view of NEET exam. Okay, so we will discuss all the major points, okay, all the topics that are very important for the NEET, and I'll also tell you from which of the topics the questions have already come. Okay, so this is the part 2 of the lecture. Before starting this lecture, I just want to give you one information that the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for education purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@itk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. So what are the objective of today's lecture? So we will understand the key features, or you can say the key characteristics of Aschelominthes, then Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, and the Hemichordata. Okay, so now we're talking about the non-chordates. Clear? So we'll talk about the key characteristic features of these phylums. Okay, so we'll talk about the excretory system in these organisms, how they reproduce, what is their body organization. Okay, do they have organ system level of organization, then what is the locomotion, okay, how they move. So we'll talk about all of these features of these members of these phylum. Okay, next is we will understand the distinguished characteristic of obviously the above mentioned phylums. Okay, so we'll be talking about the phylum Aschelominthes, which include the roundworms. I will talk about the phylum Annelida. We'll talk about the phylum Arthropoda, which is the largest phylum. It includes the insects. We'll talk about phylum Mollusca, phylum Echinodermata, phylum Hemichordata. Now let's begin with this session. First, we'll be talking about the phylum Aschelominthes, which includes the roundworms. Okay, so what is the first characteristic feature? Now, the body of the Aschelominthes is circular in cross section. Okay, hence the name roundworm. So these are also known as the roundworms. Why? Because okay, the body appears to be circular. When you cut them in a section, their body will appear circular. So that's why they are known as the roundworms. So this is a common name. So you should remember this common name first of all. So questions, how the questions come in the exam, they will ask you what are the characteristic feature of roundworms. They will not write the name of the phylum, they will write the common name. Sometimes they just write the scientific name. So you should know the common name, the general name, as well as the scientific name as well. Now they may be free living, they may be aquatic, terrestrial or parasitic also in plants and animals. Okay, free living means they are not dependent on any other organisms. They are aquatic, means they can live in water. Okay, then they can be terrestrial also, means they can survive on land as well. So you can see here these roundworms, they occupy various habitats. Okay, they're living in water also, they can live on land also. Then they are parasitic also. On what? Plants and animals. So parasitic means they can cause diseases also. Okay, So this parasitic on plants and animals means they obtain nutrients from these plants and animals. Okay, they are parasites on these plants and animals. They are obtaining nutrition, they absorb nutrients from these plants and animals, and they slowly harm these living organisms. Some can cause diseases also, and means they are pathogens. So pathogens are organisms which cause diseases. Okay, that's why not all parasites are pathogen. Only those organisms which can cause disease, they are pathogens. Now roundworms, okay, have organ system level of body organization. So they have organ system level of body organization means, okay, organ systems. So they have different organ system like circulatory system, digestive system, excretory systems. This is organ system level of body organization. Okay, so you know cells, they combine to form tissues, tissues combine to form organs, organs they combine to form organ systems, and organ system, it finally forms the entire organism. Okay, so these are the key features of the roundworms. Now let's talk about other features. So they are bilaterally symmetrical. What do you mean by bilaterally symmetrical? Means you can divide their body into two equal halves. Okay, means a left half and the right half. And these two left and right half will be mirror images of each other. So body can be divided into two equal halves. Then they are triploblastic. Means the body is formed from 3 germ layers. Okay, these are ectoderm, outermost layer, then mesoderm, middle layer, and the endoderm, which is the innermost layer. So these are the 3 germ layers. Okay, so these 3 germ layers give rise to the tissues as well as the organs in the animals. Then they are pseudocoelomate. Now what do you mean by pseudocoelomate? Okay, means they have a false coelom. Pseudo means false. Okay, they don't have a true coelom. Means their body cavity, it is not completely surrounded by the mesoderm. Okay, so you have to write their body cavity is not completely surrounded by mesoderm. Okay, so the mesoderm is present in patches, or this mesoderm is incomplete. In case of coelomate, what happens? The body cavity is surrounded by the mesoderm. It is entirely surrounded by the mesoderm. But in pseudocoelomate, the body cavity is not completely surrounded by the mesoderm. It is present in patches or in form of incomplete lines. Here. Now, alimentary canal is complete with well-developed muscular pharynx. So alimentary canal, it means digestive system. So alimentary canal means it is the complete digestive system. Okay, so these roundworms, they have mouth, they have anus, they have this muscular pharynx which helps in the food intake. So this pharynx helps in the food intake. You can write its function, it helps in the food intake. Okay, this alimentary canal, what is the role of this alimentary canal or the digestive system? Obviously, it helps in the digestion and absorption of the food. Okay, so this is the role of the alimentary canal or the digestive system, you can say. Now, an excretory tubes removes body waste from the body cavity through the excretory pore. Now we are talking about the excretion in roundworms. So they use specialized excretory tubes for excretion, and they collect the waste from the body cavities. Okay, and they remove the waste through the excretory pores. Clear? So these are kind of primitive kidneys. And the system here in roundworm, this also maintains the osmotic balance as well. Okay, so these roundworm, they use specialized excretory tubes, and they collect the waste from the body cavities and remove the waste through the excretory pores. So you can call it as a primitive kind of kidney. Okay, clear? So they have a very simple body organization, you can see, but it is quite efficient. And these help these roundworm to survive in various habitats. Okay. Now next. Sexes are separate, mean they are dioecious. So what do you mean by dioecious? The male and the female reproductive organs are present in separate, you can say, individuals. So sexes are separate, they are dioecious, that is, males and the females are distinct. Okay. Then often females are longer than the males. So females are longer as compared to the males in size, in length. Fertilization is internal. Okay. What do you mean by fertilization, first of all? So fertilization is the fusion of the male and the female gamete. Or you can say fusion of the sperm and the ovum. Now fertilization is internal, means fertilization takes place inside the female genital tract. Like in humans also, the fertilization is internal, and the site of fertilization is the ampulla of the fallopian tube. In roundworms also, fertilization is internal. Okay. In some, you can see, animals, fertilization is external, where the sperm and the ovum, they are released in the water, and the fertilization takes place outside the body. So that is external fertilization. Here the fertilization is internal, and development may be direct. Okay, where the young one resembles the adult, or it can be indirect. Now what do you mean by indirect development? So indirect development means a larval stage is involved here. Okay, so first a larva is formed, and then this larva metamorphosizes into adult. Okay, so indirect development involves larva. Now examples, you should remember the examples of this phylum: Ascaris lumbricoides. This is roundworm. Then Wucheria, this is filarial worm. Okay, this Wucheria bronchafti, this causes diseases. Okay, which diseases cause? It causes filariasis. Okay, so Wucheria is also known as filarial worm. So it causes a disease known as filariasis. In filariasis, what happens? The lymph nodes, the lymph vessels, they are affected. Especially the lymph vessels in the lower limb. These are affected. And there is the inflammation of the lymph vessels here. And because of this, what happens? The feet looks like an elephant. So that's why it is also known as elephantiasis. So Wucheria can cause disease. It is a parasite. It is a pathogen. Okay, there is a species of Wucheria bancrofti. This is known as the filarial worm. That's why the disease filariasis, and the feet looks like elephant. So disease is also known as elephantiasis. And another example is Ancylostoma, also known as the hookworm. Clear? You should remember the examples. These are very important. A question can come from here. Okay, so this is the image. This is example of the roundworms. So you can say female, the size of the female is larger as compared to the male. So females are larger. In humans, it is opposite. The male is usually larger as compared to the females. But in lower organism, female size is bigger as compared to the male. Now let's talk about the phylum Annelida. Okay, what are the key characteristics? What are the basic characteristics of the phylum Annelida? Now they may be aquatic and they can live in marine water as well as the fresh water. So marine water means what? They can live in salty water also, like sea and ocean, and they can also live in the fresh water. Now they can be terrestrial. Okay, means they can live on land as well. They can, okay, land means they live in the soil. So you can write here, land means they live in the soil. Then some are parasitic also. They can be free living also. Some are parasitic as well. So this is the habitat of the annelids. Okay. Now they exhibit organ system level of body organization and they have bilateral symmetry. So bilateral symmetry, we already know, when the body can be divided into two equal halves. Okay. Then they exhibit organ level of body organization, means they have the organ systems, digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system. Clear? They are triphloblastic again. Means what? Triphloblastic means the body is made up of 3 germ layers: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Then they are metamerically segmented. Means they show metamerism. Clear? You can also write they show metamerism. Means they have segmented body. Okay, their body is divided into segments. Then they have a true body cavity. Means they are coelomate. Coelomate means what? The body cavity is lined by the complete mesoderm. Okay. Now the body is distinctly marked out into segments or metamers, and hence the phylum name is Annelida. So their body is segmented, you can say, or their body is, you can say, metamerized. Okay. So you can say segments, or you can call the segments as metamers also. So their body is segmented, or their body is metamerically segmented. Okay, hence the name is given Annelida. So Annelida means their body is segmented. Okay, so that's why they are known as the segmented worms. Okay, annelids, they are also known as segmented worms, and their body is divided into ring-like segments. Okay, these ring-like segments, these are known as these metamers. Okay, these metamers, they are known as the ring-like segments. Examples, obviously, these are earthworm, leeches, and marine worms. Okay, so key feature here is metamerically segmented, and obviously triphloblastic coelomate, these are the other features as well. Okay, we are talking about the phylum Annelida here. Clear? Now they possess longitudinal and circular muscles which help in the locomotion. Okay, so these longitudinal circular muscles, they enable characteristic wave-like movement. So you know these earthworms, they show wave-like movement when they move. So this wave-like movement is because of these longitudinal as well as the circular muscles. So these muscles help in the locomotion, means they help them to move in a wave-like manner. Okay, so why do they move wave-like? Why they show wave-like movement? Because these muscles, they create peristaltic movements. Okay, so there is peristaltic movements in the where? Esophagus also. In the digestive system also there is peristaltic movements. Okay, so these peristaltic movements, you can say it is helping in the locomotion, and these peristaltic movements are generated by these muscles. Okay, what kind of muscles? Longitudinal and the circular muscles. Now let's move on. Now aquatic annelids like Nereis, possess lateral appendages, parapodia, which help in the swimming. Okay, now let's understand this. What is these parapodia? So this parapodia, you can see these are present in the aquatic forms. First of all, remember this. So Nereis, this is an aquatic form. Okay, so this is like paddle-like appendages, and they help in the swimming. You can see they help in the swimming. They aid in swimming. Okay, sometimes they also help in the gas exchange. So these are the role of these parapodia. Okay, so they are paddle-like appendages. Clear? Now next. A closed circulatory system is present. So what do you mean by closed circulatory system? Okay, humans also, they have a closed circulatory system. Okay, so in closed circulatory system, what happens? Blood flow in closed vessels. So blood vessels are present. So blood will flow in these blood vessels. Okay, this is meaning of this closed circulatory system. And these organisms also, they will contain a, you can say, blood which consists hemoglobin. Clear? And they have a heart-like pumping structure. Okay, they don't have a true heart, but they have a heart-like pumping structure. And this closed circulatory system helps in efficient transport of nutrients as well as the oxygen. Clear? So what is the role of this circulatory system? The circulatory systems helps in the transport of the nutrients as well as oxygen. So like blood it carries the nutrients and the oxygen. It also carries the waste products also with us. So these waste products have to be eliminated out of the body. Okay, as well as the carbon dioxide also has to be eliminated out of the body. Okay, clear? Now next. Nephridia helps in the osmoregulation and excretion. So excretion is done through nephridia. So nephridia are the structures involved in the removal of the excretory waste in case of the annelids. So again, this is a characteristic feature here. Okay, remember this. Nephridia, where they are present? Nephridia, they are present in the annelids. Here. Now they also help in the osmoregulation also. Okay, means they help to, you can say, attain the osmotic, you can say osmoregulation is kind of, they maintain the osmotic potential. Okay, they maintain the solute concentration. This is known as the osmoregulation. Okay. Now let's talk about the neural system now. Neural system means kind of nervous system. Yeah, so neural system consists of paired ganglia connected by lateral nerves through a double ventral nerve cord. Here. So they have a paired ganglia. Remember this, they have a paired ganglia and these are connected by the lateral nerves. Okay, clear? They have a double ventral nerve cord running along the body. Here. And they forms a ladder-like nervous system. So nervous system is like ladder-like here. So nervous system obviously helps in the control and coordination. The neural system, you can also call it as a nervous system. So it is not that much complex as that of humans, but here it is consisting of the paired ganglia. Clear? Now Nereis, an aquatic form, is dioecious, but earth forms and leeches are monoecious. So these annelids, they can be dioecious also and they can be monoecious also. So dioecious means they have separate sexes. Example is Nereis. And earthworm and leeches, they are monoecious. Monoecious, or you can also write here hermaphrodite. So hermaphrodite means both the sexes are present in the same organism. Male and the female reproductive parts are present in the same organism. So leeches and earthworms, they are monoecious. So this is also very important. Remember this. Question can come from here. Okay, so hermaphrodite have both male and female reproductive organs. Clear? Reproduction is obviously sexual in case of annelids. Example is Nereis Pheretima. Pheretima is earthworm. Okay, Hirudinaria, this is blood-sucking leech. So these are very important examples. You should remember the examples of this Annelida. Clear? Now let's move on. Okay, now let's study the significance of annelids also. Okay, so they are important soil organisms like earthworm. They are very important soil organisms, and the earthworm, they play a role in soil fertility as well. Okay, some of these organisms are used as a medicine also, like in leeches. So they suck out the toxic blood also. Okay, so these are the significance of these organisms. Earthworm is known as the farmer's friend. Okay. Okay, so this is the image showing you the annelid. These are examples of annelid. This is the Nereis, first one, which is aquatic, and the second one is the Hirudinaria, which is the leech. It is blood-sucking leech. Now let's talk about the phylum Arthropoda now. So Arthropoda, first of all, this is the largest phylum. Remember this. And these include the insects. So Arthropoda is the largest phylum of Animalia, which includes the insects. Now over 2/3 of all named species on earth are the arthropods. Okay, so they are, you can say, there is a lot of diversity also in arthropods, and the number is also huge. They have organ system level organization, means again they will have digestive system, okay, circulatory system. Okay, so they have organ system level of organization. Their body is divided into head, thorax, and abdomen. Okay, they have segmented body with joint appendages, and they have hard exoskeleton made up of chitin. These are some of the features of the phylum Arthropoda. They are the largest phylum, and they makes up about 20% of the all known animal species. So remember this Arthropoda, phylum Arthropoda, they make up about 80% of the all known species, animal species, means over 2/3 of all named species on earth are arthropod. Okay, and they show a lot of diversity also. Okay, they are bilateral symmetrical, trifloblastic, segmented, and coelomate animals. Okay, they are bilaterally symmetrical, means their body can be divided into two equal halves. They are triploblastic. Okay, body, you can say it is made from the 3 germ layers. Then their body is segmented. Okay, segmented bodies means their body is divided into head, thorax, and the abdomen. Clear? Then body is coelomate, means they have a body coelom. Okay, they have a body cavity which is lined by the complete mesoderm. Clear? Then they have joint appendages. The body of the arthropod is covered by chitinous exoskeleton. This is also very important. Okay, and this is responsible for diversification of insects on the land. Okay, so this chitinous exoskeleton, this protects the insects. So they had time for the evolution. Okay, so for diversification of any organism, you require time. Okay, so if they are surviving for so many years, okay, why they are surviving for so many years? Obviously, they have some features which are protecting them from the predators. Clear? So the body of the arthropod is covered by chitinous exoskeleton, and this is responsible for diversification of insects on the earth. So this group, they show a lot of biodiversity. Okay, there are number of species of the insects present on the earth. Yeah, so they got time to evolve. Like cockroach is a living fossil. Okay, living fossil. Why it is a living fossil? Because cockroach has not evolved. Okay, it has same features from millions of years. So cockroach is surviving from millions of years, and there is no change in the cockroach also. Okay, but there are a lot of species of other insects. Okay, seen on the planet Earth. Now the body consists of head, thorax, and abdomen. They have jointed appendages. This is also a characteristic feature of the arthropods. Okay, so anthros mean joint and poda appendages. So they have jointed appendages. Usually they have 3 pair of jointed appendages. If you see an insect, if you observe an insect, they have 3 pair of jointed appendages. Okay, and they were coelomate. Okay, so coelomate, then you have the acoelomates, and then you have the eucoelomates also. So eucoelomates also, they have a true coelom. Okay, so these animals which have eucoelomate, they also possess a true coelom. Okay, means a fluid filled body cavity that is completely lined by the mesoderm. Okay, now respiratory organs are gills, book lungs, or the tracheal system. So this is also very important here. Remember this. Respiratory organs. So they have their, you can say, unique respiratory organs. So they respire by either by gills. So they are aquatic arthropods. These aquatic arthropods, they respire by gills. Okay, such as crustaceans, they are aquatic arthropod. Okay. Then you have book gills. So these are found in like horseshoe crabs. Okay. Now these book gills also, they allow the gaseous exchange under the water. Okay, they allow gaseous exchange under the water. Then book lungs. So these are found in spiders and the scorpions. Book lungs. Clear? Okay. Then you have the tracheal system. So these are found in the insects. So what is a tracheal system? These tracheal system, they are the network of the tubes, and it delivers oxygen directly to the tissues. So here remember, in tracheal system, which is present in the insects, okay, here the air is directly, okay, here the oxygen, you can say, is directly delivered to the tissues. So oxygen, or you can air, is directly delivered to the tissues in the tracheal system. Tracheal system is the network of the tubes, and this tracheal system is opens through spiracles on the body surface. Okay, so they have jointed appendages. Okay, means they have 3 pair of jointed appendages. Here, whenever you will see an insect, you will see 3 pairs of, you can say, legs. So they have 3 pair of jointed appendages. Now next, circulatory system is of open type here. Okay, means the blood is not flowing in the blood vessels. Okay, so they don't have any closed vessels, and the fluid is it is flowing freely in the body cavity. So they have open type of system, means blood is not flowing in the blood vessels, and the blood is flowing freely in the body cavity. Okay, and they have hemolymph, which is the blood in the insects. So blood in the insect, this is known as the hemolymph. Remember this. So they have the heart. This heart will pump the hemolymph. Okay, hemolymph is the blood in the insects. They don't have any closed vessels. Clear? Now the organs of these insects, these organs, they are directly present in the hemolymph. Okay, and this hemolymph, what is the role of the hemolymph? Same as that of the blood. It transports the nutrients, hormones, as well as the waste product. So insects, hemolymph is present instead of the blood. Okay, now let's continue with the arthropoda. Okay, sensory organs are like antennae. Okay, eyes, they have a compound eyes or simple eyes. They have cytocyst. All balancing organs are present. So what are antennae? They are the paired sensory appendages used for these antennae. They are used for touch, smell, and taste. Okay, antennae, they are used for touch, smell, as well as the taste. So these are sensory organs. Then they can have compound eyes or they can have simple eyes. Okay, compound eyes means they are made up of multiple units, which are known as ommatidia, or they can have simple eyes. Okay, then they have the statocyst, which help maintain the balance and the orientation. So statocyst, they are the balancing organs. They help to maintain the balance as well as orientation of the insect. Okay. Now excretion takes place through Malpighian tubules. Like in annelids, excretion was taking place through nephridia. Here the excretion is taking place through Malpighian tubules. So remember this. This is the characteristic feature of the phylum Arthropoda. So these Malpighian tubules, these are tubular structures that remove nitrogenous waste. Okay, so these are tubular structure which remove the nitrogenous waste. So their function is again similar to the kidneys, which are present in the higher organisms. So what do these Malpighian tubules do? These Malpighian tubules, they filter the waste from the hemolymph. Okay, hemophil is the insect blood, arthropod blood. So these Malpighian tubules, they will filter the hemolymph. Okay, they will filter all the excretory products, all the toxins from the hemolymph. It will clean the hemolymph. Now they are mostly dioecious, means sexes are separate. Separate male and female individuals are present. Then fertilization is usually internal and are mostly oviparous. Okay, fertilization is internal means fertilization occurs in the female genital tract. They are oviparous means they lay eggs. They are egg-laying organisms. Development may be direct or indirect. Okay, we've already discussed this direct and indirect development. So direct development means the young ones are formed and these young ones resemble the adult form. Indirect development means again it involves the formation of a larva, and this larva will metamorphosize to form the adult. Now what is the economically important insects? So honeybee, this is very important. Obviously this produces honey, and these honeybee, they are also important biotic pollinators. Okay, if there is no pollinators, there will be no pollination and there will be no fruit and seed set. Then Bombyx silkworm, this is also very economically important. And Laccifer, which is the lac insect, this is also very important arthropod. Then there are also vectors also. Okay, now what is a vector? So vector is a, you can say, organism. Okay, it can be an insect which helps in the transfer of the pathogen from one organism to the other organism. Yeah, so they act as a vector. Anopheles mosquito, Culex mosquito, Aedes mosquitoes, these are all mosquitoes. They act as a vector. They can carry pathogen. They transmit the pathogen. Okay, from the unhealthy individual to healthy individual. So So they act as a host for these pathogens, like female Anopheles mosquito. This carry the pathogen Plasmodium. Okay. Then Culex mosquito, then Aedes mosquito. Anopheles causes malaria, Culex mosquito causes elephantiasis, and Aedes mosquito can cause chikungunya. Okay, then there is a gregarious pest known as the locust. Okay, then there is a living fossil, king crab again, like cockroach, the living fossil. King crab is also a living fossil. Scientific name is Limulus. Then you can see these are the images of the arthropod. Okay, so first one is the locust. Now second one, you can see this is the butterfly. This image C scorpion, and D is the prawn. Here, so you should remember these, all of these examples of this arthropod. Clear? So these are dioecious, means they have separate male and female sexes. The male and the female reproductive organs are present in separate individual. Clear? So you should remember the example of economically important insects like apis, bombyx, and lac insect. So this lac insect, this is primarily used for its natural resinous secretions called lac. So it secretes a resin. This resin is known as lac. Okay, clear? This is also used to form lac dye. Now let's talk about the phylum Mollusca. Okay, Mollusca is the second largest animal phylum. Okay, only after phylum Arthropoda. Phylum Arthropoda is the largest. Mollusca is the second largest. Okay, they can be terrestrial or aquatic. Okay, they can be marine or freshwater, means they can live in salty water also, like sea and oceans, or they can survive. They can live in freshwater also. They have organ system level of organization, means they have the digestive system and circulatory system. Then they are bilaterally symmetrical, trifloblastic, and coelomate. Clear? Bilaterally symmetrical means the body is divided into, their body can be divided into equal half. Triploblastic, their body is derived from the 3 germ layers. Then they are coelomate animals. They have a true coelom. Body is covered by calcareous shell and is unsegmented with a distinct head, muscular foot, and the visceral hump. Okay, clear? So what is this visceral hump? So this is soft and spongy layer of tissues covering the internal organs of these mollusks. Okay, so visceral hump is present. This muscular foot, this helps in the locomotion. Okay, now a soft and spongy layer of skin forms a mantle over the visceral hump. Okay, so mantle, you can see the mantle here. The space between the hump and the mantle, this is known as mantle cavity, in which feather-like gills are present. Okay, now they have respiratory and excretory functions. So these, you can say these have respiratory and excretory functions. Remember this. These feather-like gills, they have excretory as well as respiratory functions. So excretion is also done by it. Not only respiration, excretion is also done by it. Anterior head regions has sensory tentacles. So these tentacles helps to detect the environment. Okay, and they also helps in catching the food as well. Okay, the mouth contains a file-like rasping organs for feeding known as radula. So radula is the feeding organ in mollusk. Okay, they are usually dioecious. Dioecious means males and the female reproductive parts are present in the different individuals, means male and the female sexes are separate. They will have a male individual, they will have a female individual. They're oviparous, means they lay eggs. Development is indirect, means again a larva stage is formed. Examples are Phyla, which is apple snail, Pincadata, pearl oyster, sepia, cuttlefish, loligo, which is squid, octopus, devilfish, Aplysia, okay, Dendalium, and Cetoplura. So you should remember these examples. These are the examples of the mollusk, Phyla and the octopus. Octopus is also oviparous. Let's talk about the Echinodermata. So, animals of the phylum Echinodermata have an endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles, and hence the name Echinodermata means spiny body. So, these ossicles, they give spiny appearance. So, that's why they have a spiny body. Okay. Then, all are marine with organ system level of organization. The adult echinoderms are radially symmetrical, but larvae are bilateral symmetrical. So, this is very important. Echinoderms, they are radially symmetrical. The adult form, they are radially symmetrical. Okay. Means body can be divided into equal halves by any plane, which is passing through the central axis. Okay. So they are pentaradial also, you can call them pentaradial, but the larvae are bilateral. They are typhloblastic and coelomate animals. Digestive system is complete, with mouth on the lower side and the anus on the upper side. The most distinctive feature of echinoderms is the presence of water vascular system. So this is very important feature of echinoderms, and this helps in the locomotion, capture and transport of food and respiration also. Okay, so this is very important, water vascular system in the echinoderms. So what is this water vascular system? This is a network of fluid filled canals, okay, that facilitate the locomotion, feeding, respiration, and in addition to this is also involved in the waste removal also. So when the water comes inside the echinoderm, it also carries the food. That's why it also helps in the feeding also, or transport of the food also. Okay, capture and transport of the food also. Then it is involved in respiration, means it is involved in the exchange of the gases as well. So here you can see this is starfish with water vascular system here. Okay. So these are the different, you can say, this water vascular system is very important here. So they have these radial canals here. So what is water vascular system? This is a fluid filled canals. So these are the radial canals. There are different canals here. Okay, radial canal, there is a ring canal here, stone canal here. Okay, clear. Now excretory system is absent here. So how they are doing excretion? So they are doing excretion with the help of water vascular system. Sexes are separate, mean they are dioecious. Reproduction is sexual, means two individuals will be involved, male and the female, because they are dioecious. Fertilization is usually external, means the sperm and the eggs, they are released in the water. Fertilization takes place outside the body. Development is indirect with free swimming larva, and this larva will metamorphosize into the adult. Examples are Asteriasis, starfish, Echinus, sea urchin, Antedon, sea lily, Cucumeria, sea cucumber, and Ophiuria, which is brittle star. So these are the examples of the Echinodermata. Okay, they show pentaradial symmetry. Okay. Now Hemichordata. Hemichordata plays as a separate phylum under non-chordate. So earlier they were placed in chordata, but now they are placed in Hemichordata. Hemichordates have a rudimentary structure in the collar region called the stomochord, a structure similar to the notochord. So the members of the phylum Chordata, they have a they have a notochord. Okay, and they also have a dorsal hollow nerve cord. So these are the characteristic feature of chordates. But these hemichordates, they have a stomochord, and instead of a dorsal hollow nerve cord, they have ventral solid nerve cord. So Hemichordata was earlier placed in chordata, now it is placed in non-chordata because it contains a stomochord instead of the notochord. Then this phylum consists of small group of worm-like marine animals with organ system level of the organization. Okay, they are bilaterally symmetrical, typhloblastic and coelomate animals. Okay, remember this. The coelomate animals, they have true coelom. The body is cylindrical and it is composed of anterior proboscis, a collar and a long trunk. Okay, so these anterior proboscis, they are present in the front and they help in the feeding also. Okay, clear? They have a collar which is present between this proboscis and the trunk, and they have this long trunk which is the main body. This long trunk forms the main body, is consist of all the organs and the organ system. Okay, circulatory system is of open type, means again the blood, okay, is not flowing in the blood vessels, so they don't have the blood vessels. Okay, like in arthropods also, they have the tracheal system and all. Okay, here they also had an open system. They also have a open system here. Respiration takes place through gills. Excretory organ is proboscis gland here. Remember this. Okay, so they can ask question from here. What are the excretory organs in hemichordate? What are excretory organs in annelids? What are the excretory organs in the arthropods? Okay, how excretion takes place in the echinodermata. Okay, sexes are separate, means they are dioecious. They will have separate male and the female individuals. Fertilization is external, means the sperms and the egg, they are released in the water. Fertilization takes place outside the body. Development is indirect, means it involves larva. Okay, and larva will later form the adult. Examples are Bananoglossus, this is very important example, and Saccoglossus. So you can see here, this is the image of Bananoglossus. They have a proboscis in the front. This is the collar which is present between proboscis and the trunk, and this is the trunk which is the main body. It includes all the organ as well as the organ system. Okay, so this was the end of the lecture. I hope this session was quite knowledgeable for you. Okay, so we have discussed about the phylums here today. Okay, here we started with the roundworms, Aschelominthes. Okay, we talked about Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusk, Echinodermata, and the Hemichordata. Here, so this was the end of the session. In the next sessions, okay, we'll also be talking about the chordates as well. Okay, so I hope the session was quite knowledgeable for you. Thank you very much for listening.